All right, we are recording. Everybody, welcome to Facet Nation, a Gemology podcast. I'm Lucinda.
And I'm Simon. Hello and welcome.
And this is so exciting. It's our very first episode. What is a gem? So today we're going to be kind of tackling the big question, introducing ourselves, and hopefully getting a really exciting gemology journey off and running. So, Simon, tell me about yourself. Who are you, and why are you hosting a gemology podcast?
Yeah, no, very good. I'm Simon. I suppose I've worked in the jewelry industry for getting on for 20 years now, but my parents are jewelers. They have jewelry stores. My dad's dad was a jeweler, so I guess I'm like third generation jeweler.
I didn't know that about you, Simon.
Yeah. And then kind of I had my own shop for a bit as part of the family business thing, but wanted to move to London and then started working in Hatton Garden. I've been in Hatton Garden for 12 years now. So
King of Hatton.
It's been a big part of my life since I was born, basically. I went to acting school originally and wanted to be an actor. But that's really hard. So pack that.
I have heard that.
Yeah, so sort of jacked that in for the family trade, I guess. And yeah, here we are.
Nice.
What about
And
you?
you have some letters behind your name already.
I
You're
do.
a DGA.
Yeah, so when I first joined at Hatton Garden, I joined at the same time as the boss's son. And he basically wanted someone of a similar age to do this diamond course with him at GemA. So he enrolled us both on the DGA, and I did that literally about 12 years ago.
Wow, cool.
How about you? Where have you come from? What's the story?
So I was actually, up until very recently, a complete hobbyist. So I was a editor-in-chief of Craft Gin Club, which was an amazing startup. I was there for almost 10 years. And then went traveling. And as I was traveling, I was buying jewelry as keepsakes of everywhere I'd gone. And my gemology journey really starts from like a place of deep distrust and paranoia because I wasn't sure that what I was buying was genuine. So I started taking sort of day courses at City Lit about jewelry appraisal and gemology, and just found that I loved it and wanted to do something more rigorous. So I kept like finding myself in, I guess, eventually the most rigorous gemology program in the country, which was the foundation course at GemA, and then was peer pressured into doing the diploma as well.
Who were you peer pressured into doing that by?
It might have been you, Simon.
Oh yeah, yeah. Sorry about that. I hope you don't regret taking the challenge on.
I have cursed your name during exam prep, but we're on the other side now.
I've cursed my own name. Don't worry. So when you were traveling around and looking for those gems and things, have you ever gone back and had a look at what you got?
Yes.
And checked them over and checked if they were okay, or you have been stitched up?
I mean, it's so funny because my big paranoia was around amber, which I actually find to be one of the easiest stones to identify now, or to separate the real stuff from the fake stuff. So everything I bought was genuine amber. But at the time, all I could do was UV. And I remember I went to like a rave at Pride in Mexico City, and my one amber earring wasn't UVing, it wasn't fluorescing. And I was like, is this fake? This is fake. But no, so far so good. Everything's been
good.
genuine.
So no tales of getting, because it is one of those things that I think it would be nice if we could help people with doing this, feeling confident about buying gemstones, right?
Exactly, and not being so anxious all the time, and being able to trust yourself. I mean, I'm in the trade now, so I work as a production assistant at a jeweler in the West End. And we have had clients come in thinking they had massive sapphires from Sri Lanka and it was an aquamarine, which as a gemologist, you can tell just by looking. But I can so imagine like thinking you've got this great deal just because you don't know. And so much of gemology, I feel, it kind of empowers you to go out in the world and be confident making choices and buying beautiful things. So hopefully as you say, that's part of what we can do here. So people on a gemology course, but also people who are just interested in it.
Exactly. Yeah, I'd love it if we could, give people confidence in all aspects of gemology, buying things and studying, and just generally help people out. That's what we're here for, right?
Even making things. I don't know if you found this, but especially since I've been buying jewelry and with a little bit more knowledge, so many jewelers pick a beautiful stone that really isn't suitable to go into what they're making. So things like rings and bracelets, and can't really advise their clients on how to keep their stuff looking really nice. So there's like gemology is just such a useful skill on all sides of the jewelry trade.
Are you talking about that from like a durability aspect on things that are like not appropriate for everyday wear and things like that?
Exactly. So, you know, emerald engagement rings are a big one that we see, but also I was just shopping for a ring and she was using kyanite, and I just thought that's going to be bashed to shit in moments.
Yeah, that's really not a good idea. I mean,
And
it's
that puts you at risk for your clients, right?
and I suppose the one that people are routinely made aware of and to be aware of is the emerald, and how you shouldn't really be wearing that as an engagement ring. It's more of like an occasion ring, simply because it's not very durable. It's going to get damaged much more easily than other gemstones.
Well,
And
and emeralds especially are so expensive that replacing that chipped stone is not an easy task. You know, there's some stuff. I have an amber ring, which I also bought in Mexico. First time I wore it out in London, got drunk, smacked it against something, it's cracked. I don't mind that so much because if I wanted to replace it or have it repolished, I could. It's just not a big deal. But something like you see these big, beautiful emeralds and you just think, oh gosh, it makes me sick to my stomach.
and I suppose one of the first things you asked as we came online here was, what is a gem? And if you refer back to, so just as a bit more background to us, we met because we both started doing the gemology course at Gem. We met on the foundation course, and then obviously I pressured you into coming on board for the diploma.
And thank God I did, or they wouldn't have run that course.
No, you're right. Yeah, we'd still be doing it, which was, yeah, I'd get it out of the way as quick as possible was my opinion. So yeah, it's really lucky that you did come on board. Otherwise, we would still be in the middle of that. But in the course notes in chapter 1, one of the things that sort of determines a gem, durability is one of the aspects. So what do they say? Beauty, rarity,
Yep,
durability, and desirability.
exactly. And those all contribute to the value of a stone
Yeah.
as well. So, Simon, why did you choose to pursue a professional qualification in colored stones as opposed to just like working in the trade and being
I
exposed to it that way?
So I guess I have been being exposed to it just by working in the trade over the last sort of 12 to 20 years. And I kind of look at the situation I'm in and kind of think to myself, or like, I would like to have extra facets.
Oh,
Oh, I would like to have extra facets to my skill set, basically. Um, and be able to branch out. So effectively, I like learning things and generally can't sit still. So getting on board with someone teaching me something, I didn't quite realize how hard it was going to be. I don't know about you, but like I got in there on the first day of the foundation and was like, whoa.
I think, well, it was interesting because I obviously started from a complete standing start and was doing it really just for fun. And I think I found the foundation surprisingly easy. And then the diploma was the one that really took me by surprise.
I mean, were you particularly good at science and stuff at school?
Not really. I was really good at like biology. I was shit at chemistry. And there is a lot of chemistry and physics in gemology. It's a
Because like,
very broad topic, right? That includes a lot of other subjects. But I
yeah,
do think,
it's
because in America, you take those subjects all the way up through high school. So I think I was at an advantage in that respect because it wasn't the first time that I was learning about covalent bonds and kind of things like that.
I didn't think it was me either. I mean, I suppose one thing to consider is that I was learning that shit when I was 15 or whatever, and that's a long time ago, right? So, and then like when I was at school, I was focusing mainly on like the creative stuff. That's why I went to acting school. So and like science was like, I don't really get this, and I felt like I didn't need to. So coming back to it 25 years later or something, and you're like, well, I don't remember any of this stuff, even though it's basically basic GCSE science. I don't remember it, and it's really difficult. So like anyone that wants to do this needs to be prepared for, well, unless they're sciencey or geology based knowledge already, then it's going to be really
Yeah, the
hard.
geology, I think, was the hardest part for me. Just because there's so many names, but it's difficult, but it's totally doable, especially if you love gemstones. I think that to me is the most important part, and why I decided, I think, to get a professional qualification rather than just read a book. If you love learning and you love gemstones, it is so cool to know more about them.
Absolutely, I agree. Yeah.
And Simon, you've been in the trade a long time. So to your mind, like what's the difference between being just a jeweler and being a gemologist? This is something my family asks me all the time. I'm like, oh, I'm a gemologist. They're like, oh, so you're a jeweler. Like, no, it's actually quite different.
Yeah, it really is. I suppose I haven't really had much opportunity to work out that distinction yet. I can apply the gemology stuff in the sort of daily routine of work. If customers want to buy gemstones, I can tell them more about it, but I've not really explored how this facet, I'm going to say it again,
He loves it,
is
y'all.
is going to how I'm going to really be able to utilize it, because we're still pretty infant in terms of being gemologists, aren't
Being
we?
gemologists. So we're certified gemologists. By the time this comes out, touch wood, we may be FGAs. God willing.
But one of the things that I listened to another podcast about gemology a little while ago, and actually the word gemology, so the gemma, Craigle like this, gemma is like, stones, precious stones, things like that, and ology is study. So even from day one, when you get in there from the foundation course, you are studying precious stones. Therefore, you are a gemologist from day one, because it's the process of studying gems
The action of studying a
rather than
gem.
actually
And
being like,
according to
oh, I've got a
GMA,
qualification.
well, Cert GA, I especially like saying, I'm a certified gemologist. But Simon's totally right. And according to GMA, so gemology is the study of gem materials from their origins to their use in jewelry and ornamentation. And a gemologist is someone who identifies gemstones and determines their nature, which I do think working in the jewelry trade, we do, but I think it's having that extra knowledge to back up what we're saying.
That's where the detective aspect comes in, right?
Exactly. And so Simon and I often do liken being a gemologist to being an amateur detective, because you're presented with a little puzzle, and the question at the heart of it is, what the fuck is this? That's what you're always trying to answer. What is this and where did it come from?
Or even someone coming and telling you, oh, this is this. And you're like, hang on, I'm not entirely sure this is this.
That sapphire looks a lot like an aquamarine to me.
So you were asking me how I'm going to implement, like you said, what the difference between being a jeweler and a gemologist is, in terms of people getting into being gemologists. What do you think the career paths are for them? Like, where can they branch out if they're coming into this?
So GemA, this is actually in the course notes, has a whole friendly list of things that people can do. So gemstone mining, lapidary, buying and selling, designing, valuation, trading standards. Lab gemologists are very scary to me, like so knowledgeable. And
I
then,
find
of
that
course,
quite
there's
scary too.
yeah, customs, legal, curation, collectors and hobbyists. That's probably where I came at it from, and am now more on I think selecting stones is probably what I love to do the most. What about you, Simon? Where do you see gemology taking you and our peers?
So because I've got the sort of years of experience in the trade and feel like I have quite a lot of technical knowledge in terms of jewelry manufacture as well, I'm going to explore taking this down the valuing route. And
Nice.
I think like we can follow on that journey that I'm having during this podcast, because I'm potentially going to start exploring that pretty soon.
Nice. And I imagine being a gemologist like a certified gemologist is incredibly important as a valuer.
Well, I think if you want to be a registered valuer with the NAJ, you have to have a formal gem or diamond qualification, more or less, to be taken seriously, even to sort of get the accreditation. But if you're a valuer and you don't have that, then people are just going to move on and find one that does, because
Yeah,
you
of
don't want
course.
someone that doesn't have their have that skill set to be assessing your gems, really, do you? Let's be honest.
No, completely. I think where I would love to be, my favorite people that I interact with in the trade are always stone dealers. So the people who kind of travel to the mines, pick the rough that they love, pick the cutter who they think is going to do the best justice, and then sell those stones on to jewelers and to the consumers. That to me seems like the coolest job in the world.
So are you thinking you might like to do that, go exploring around Tanzania, digging things up or whatever,
I
or
would
Sri Lanka?
love to do that. I would love to do that.
I'd like to do
How do
that
you
too.
think it started doing something like that, though? We'll
Well,
we'll do some interviews and people can tell us.
that's quite a good question, actually. Yeah, because no idea.
So Simon, we touched on this briefly, but like the question at the heart of all of this is, what is a gem? And gem actually has kind of a funny, weird definition, because I always want to say, like, I always bring it back to the definition that they have for what is a material or whatever, or organic or inorganic. But for them, a gem is just thought of as any material used for adornment or decoration, especially when cut and polished. Does that seem like an accurate, from your understanding of gemstones? What do you think of that definition?
It seems like it could include a lot of things you might not necessarily consider a gem, no? Like when I think of a gem, I think of faceted stones in the most part. But I know it can include other sort of mineral material, I suppose, is what they're getting at, right?
I guess so. I find it quite a strange when you think that, okay, it's also covering ornamental materials and things like that. But I find it quite a strange definition, but that is like word for word the definition that they're looking for.
So if you had a question in the exam that was, what is a gem? That's pretty much. So this is the thing that we found, I think, during our studies, is that if you are going to embark on this journey, you have to nail these definitions and you need to remember them. And throughout this podcast, we're going to have little things to help you remember them, if you're interested. Because if you're not studying to be a gemologist, those episodes might be a bit boring. So that's why we're going to kind of keep them a bit separate and have them
Exactly.
available for people that want them and need that sort of stuff and help with that.
Exactly. So we're aiming to do two things with this podcast. One is definitely to educate, but the other is to entertain. So don't worry, we'll keep it light on the
We'll keep the boring
definitions.
stuff separate as much as we can.
And so Gem A also has the attributes that make a gem. So as you touched on, beauty, durability, rarity, and desirability. And I think beauty is such an interesting thing, like as a concept for these, materials that have been formed under the earth over centuries in many cases. Do you remember the 5 C's that beauty depends on?
As in the 5 C's of like the diamond 5 C's.
Yeah.
Is that
So what
we're
makes a
referring to
colored
here?
stone like objectively quote unquote beautiful?
So we're talking the cut, the color,
Yeah.
I suppose carat is one of the 4 C's of
Size.
diamond, but size,
I'm a
yeah, okay,
size
size.
queen.
Okay, fine. Well, you're American, so like that sort of goes with the territory. Like,
2 carat minimum in America.
yeah, exactly. We're a bit more understated here, I would have said. And I would potentially, in the most part, go with quality over
Yeah.
size. So yeah, how far do we get?
Color,
Color,
cut, clarity,
clarity is
which I
is
guess
an
you were kind of
important one.
saying quality, but because in colored stones, it is a little bit different than just plain clarity. Like, for example, if you have really beautiful optical effects or inclusions that are really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, when you're a gemologist, if you don't love inclusions, then you're not a gemologist, in my opinion. Like, like if you want the cleanest stone imaginable, then like you've got nothing to go and you've got nothing to interest you, nothing to help you identify that material. So inclusions are our friend. Well, they're my friend
I
anyway. I don't know
totally
about you.
agree. And I love color zoning in a sapphire, which not everybody does, but I think it's so special.
It seems to be a thing that's becoming a lot more popular now, and I think with the rise of synthetic, particularly diamonds, people are becoming a bit more interested in colored stones, in colored gemstones, and they're looking for these things that identify them as natural. They're looking for these things that make them a bit more unique and interesting.
Yeah, giving stones a personality, I think.
Yeah, because naturally, like synthetic diamonds are so homogenized and they all look the same and they're all like the best quality, which is cool and everything. If you want something that looks like a really fine quality diamond, or even if you buy a natural one, that usually you're looking for the best quality stone, as in the color and the clarity. You want them to be high. But I think people on the opposite end are thinking they want their stones to be individual, like you say, with character.
My boss has this really interesting, so she did her GIA, which I think is more diamond oriented. And she has a kind of interesting philosophy when we're showing people diamonds in particular, where they either see color or they see clarity. And once you figure out what that person sees, it makes it easier to get them the best stone possible for them.
Oh,
In
okay.
terms of colored stones, is there's like a quality or one of these 5Cs that you think about specifically over others that you think are more important than others to you personally when you're picking a stone?
Regarding color,
Yeah. Are you looking at the color? Are you looking at the cut? Are you looking at the inclusions?
it probably depends on the material, doesn't it? Because certain material, like if you're looking at Zavarite, for example, or you're looking at those garnets, you're probably focusing mainly on the color of it. If you are like optical effect stones, you like need the inclusions to create the optical effects often. So you kind of want them to be heavy on that. I don't know. What do you think?
For me, it's like cut 100%. So one of my favorite places to look for stones in Hatton specifically is Crystal Myths,
Because they
which is a
cut
really
stones.
because they're stone cutters. So they are stone cutters from Sri Lanka who pick their own rough and then cut it. And every stone in there is impeccably cut. And I find that even when you have like a bit of a so-so wishy-washy stone, if it's beautifully cut, it can be really, really remarkable. And then you get some stones that are like totally gorgeous colors, but the cut is just busted. And it makes me so, so sad.
Well, that's 100% the case with diamonds as well. And over my 12 years in Hatton Garden, if you're going to give anybody some sound advice with buying a diamond, it's because it's very easy on the surface to be like, oh, you need to have a D color, you need to have a VS clarity. But if the stone's not cut well, then it's most important with a diamond because that handles the light in such a different way to any other gemstone. It has to be cut well, otherwise you're wasting your time getting all these other things. And it's easy for someone to try and sell someone a stone that just has these banner D color VS or something, and then totally forget about the car, totally forget about the dimensions and the size of the stone, and then effectively, back to what we were saying at the beginning, stitch someone up with something that's actually substandard and just looks like it's good quality on a surface level. So
They did
yeah,
ask us a question about this in our exam. Do you remember? We had to draw diamond tolerances.
in the exam,
Have you wiped that from your mind?
I think I
They asked
have.
about the
Yeah.
importance of a good cut.
Okay.
But I personally, especially as a woman hoping to be proposed to soon, I have educated my boyfriend thoroughly about the concept of a windowed stone, where
Okay.
the
Yeah.
light falls through and the middle of the stone becomes see-through. Because it drives me so crazy, these windowed stones being set into really high quality jewelry.
But then it also later, so if you've got those fancy shaped diamonds and things like bow ties in pear shapes, bow ties in
And
oval cuts,
ovals.
and these are all things that we'll touch on later on, maybe when we get to cutting of gemstones and things like that. But
Indeed.
these are all things that we are going to cover and help people out with, because yeah, like you say, if you see through the stone, then you're not really seeing the beauty of it, which is, I
Exactly.
suppose,
It's not
yeah,
returning
what
light
we're
to
talking
you.
about.
Yeah. So Simon, 12 years in Hatton Garden, was it? DGA, FGA, hopefully. What's your favorite gemstone at the moment? What are you looking at a lot of? What are you pining after?
My favorite gemstone is Zavarite at the minute. So
Oh,
that's,
really? Savarite
yeah.
garnet. Tell me more.
It's a variety of garnet. So garnets you might traditionally think are those sort of reddy brown stones. And like over the years of my life in jewelry, if someone said garnet to me, I'd immediately think of like this reddy browny thing that you're getting kind of cheap jewelry. But garnets there's so many different types of garnet, and Zavarite, which comes from like the border of Tanzania and well, that's gone from my mind.
Kenya.
Kenya, well done. Yeah. um Discovered by Campbell Bridges, was it?
Yes. Well, I think Gem A is really big on Savarites because I think Campbell Bridges was a Gem A guy. But do you remember the story? He's got this like crazy story about Savarite garnet.
And so he discovered it once, and then he had to rediscover it because he had to discover it like because he was in the wrong country basically, and they were a bit narked about him finding it.
Well, and he was a geologist, like a academic who was like, he was studying the maps and he was really sure that there was going to be a green garnet deposit somewhere in this area. Found it and then lived in the mine in a tree house, and he would keep all his most valuable rough in a bag, a sack with a cobra in it. So that
Oh,
if
in
anyone
case
tried to
someone found it,
steal it.
they'd be like,
Yeah. But he ended up being murdered, didn't he?
yeah, I think he did. Yeah. They're all really like, I'd be interesting if there was a bit more information on him. Actually, he seems like a pretty interesting
When we do our
dude. But there's
Savarite
no
Garnet episode, we'll do a deep dive. I think maybe even we can chat to his
him.
son.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you love about Savarites at the moment?
I like stones that have chromium in because it's quite a rare element, and you don't find it in various different places. You don't find it all over the place. I like the color of it. I think it's just like, I've always liked emeralds, but like we were touching on before, emeralds aren't very durable or practical, and this is like I think a better emerald.
No, I
Controversial,
agree.
but it
I
looks
agree.
nicer. You don't have to worry about it so much. The color is unreal.
It's incredible. And it actually comes, one thing I've noticed since being in the trade actually and looking at lots of them, is it's not just that true, clear, bright green. You can get like minty Savarites. You can get really dark Savarites. They're very cool.
Yeah, no, I love them. How about you? What's your favorite?
So at the minute, I'm obsessed with Tonga garnets, which are actually a sibling of Savarite, and they are from a new mine in Tanzania, which I think has already been mined out. So the rough is just starting to flow through onto the market. It's this incredible, almost color change garnet. So it's kind of pink, and then if you take it into a different light, it turns this kind of burgundy red. And I first discovered it because a very cool gem dealer came into our studio in Notting Hill and showed it to us. And I was speechless. When it's beautifully cut, it's just the most incredible stone. And the only place I've been able to really find it is on Reddit, which is how you know that it's a really cool stone, because
Because
the
that's like
Gemology Reddit
geek
is where it's
central.
at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is
So
people
they're
are,
all buying
oh,
the rough and cutting it.
okay. Tanzania,
Absolutely
eh? Tanzania is
obsessed.
the place for
It's the
stones.
place to be.
Because I've also become quite keen on Windsor sapphires, which are also from Tanzania. They're like pinky color with like ink blots in them, so little color zone
Yeah, they're
sections.
really cool.
It looks like someone's
Like,
dropped ink in them. They're lovely.
they're so cool. And when do you like, as a gemologist, how geeky would you say that you are? Are you on the Reddits? Are you on the
Yeah,
blogs?
I love looking at Reddit. Like there's some Facebook groups as well. There's another guy called Josh Hyman who you did a podcast called Gemology Worldwide, which is really cool. I've chatted to him a bit, and he has a Facebook group called Gemology Worldwide, and people post like gem inclusions there, and people are chatting about that. So yeah, there's quite an interesting community out there if you want to be satisfy your sort of nerdy desires, as it
Your
were.
nerdy side.
Yeah.
And what surprised you most about your gemology journey so far, Simon?
How hard it is.
But you got so into inclusion photography.
Yes, yeah, like yeah, just like remembering everything and trying to keep it all in your head. If you're going to study gemology, be prepared. It's difficult. And that's the thing that surprised me so much. But then also how willing I was to commit time to it because I was really enjoying the process at the same time.
Yeah. I think that's what
Well,
surprised me the most was how much I just loved it. And even studying for the exams, I think, it's hard and there's points where you're really tired, but then I would just get into the course notes again and I would look at my boyfriend and be like, I just fucking love gems. I love gems. And so hopefully, if you're just at the start of the journey or tired or resitting an exam, like the other thing that I think has been really cool is how open the community of gem lovers really is, and people want to talk about stones and they want to help, and it doesn't feel, it's scary when you're on the outside, but then once you start getting into it, I found people to be so happy to help and answer questions and show me their weird stones, and it's been very cool.
yeah, like gem people are very ready to chat about gems, I find.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're not going to
We're a
find
rare
someone.
breed, so when we find each other, we got to talk stones.
Yeah, exactly.
And Simon, what excites you most about the Facet Nation journey we're about to take? What do you hope people get from the podcast?
So during our studies, I was desperate for something like, because I do a lot of walking, I do a lot of like traveling to and from work, and I was desperate to revise during that sort of, I was like, I'm walking somewhere, I'm wasting time, I could be revising, like manically, like, shit, I need to revise all the time. So if I could have traveled and done some revision at the same time, then I think that's my motivation behind starting this, to try and help people so they can sort of study on the move.
Exactly. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of roughly follow the GEMA course notes, but we're also going to bring in external voices and stories and gem goss, and also talk about our own experiences on the course, taking the exams. But also, I think this is just a really fun forum to talk about all things gems and gemology in a way that isn't so sciencey. We want to bring a little life to it.
Yeah, and personality, and yeah, and some love, because we have love for this,
Exactly.
right? And we want
So
to
much
make that clear.
love. Fabulous. Well, Simon, is there anything, do you think we've answered the question of what is gem?
Probably not, no, but we've got plenty more episodes that we can do. I mean, that's the overall question, right? We're going to take a while to actually properly address this. But I think maybe we've started trying to answer that question. What do you think?
Following a long line of brave gemologists before us, we will attempt to answer the great question, what is gem? Fabulous. Well, next time we are going to be talking about a gemologist toolkit, the things that you should have in your arsenal if you're going to be identifying stones or in this world. Any last thoughts, Simon?
No, I don't think so. I think, yeah, I'm looking forward to this.
Me too. Fabulous. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.